I'd like to share with you just one more very mysterious aspect of the grief experience, at least as it came to me. One morning, I think about 3 years in to the loss of Bridget, I woke up and for some reason I asked myself what would I do and say if suddenly an all-powerful being were to pop in front of me from another dimension and say, I have the ability to restore Bridget to life if you would like to make that choice. What struck me and baffled me right away was that I would have to ask that being for more information. How could this be? I realized, though, that the more information would include what Bridget wanted. Firstly, if she was 100% in favor of the idea, it would be a no-brainer. Likewise, if she was against the idea in some clear-cut fashion, it would be an easy decision. But if she were on the fence about it, and this is what was the most mysterious thing to me, I recognized that I would not be unambivalent myself. I puzzled over this for years, and I haven't really come to a satisfactory interpretation of it. Part of it, as I hate to say, must be some sort of a necessary sealing off that we engage in, some distance that we instill between ourselves and the person whom we have lost. For instance, after my father died, I had the privilege of putting together a book of his writings, published essays and unpublished essays, pieces of books that he had published during his lifetime, and it was a very nourishing task for me to be able to engage in. But now, these years later, do I ever pick up the book and read any of it? I had supposed that I would frequently dip into it and commune with him. But now I find that I just don't want to. I mean, how can that be? And yet there it is. Similarly, I must have 2 hours of audio tape of Bridget talking directly to me, because we would make anniversary tapes on alternating years to one another. And yet I haven't listened to that in probably more than 15 years. It's astonishing to me. And yet this is one more aspect of the territory of grief that I think most people go through, along with, of course, the more straightforward and undying desire to embrace and take back the person who's been ripped from us. I suppose a more charitable spin on this phenomenon would be that the self that we have been forced to create in the interim between the death and now, whenever now is, when we're thinking about this, is something that we've come to value. We've been forced to forge this identity under the shadow of what's happened in the wake of the huge depletion in our life. And I suppose that the little thought experiment of having the person simply return would negate all that we have managed to accomplish internally and in terms of reinventing ourselves.